again with the round of 16 day 2 Vortex of Legends. And with me, I have my two fellow casters, Quentin and Z, for tonight, who will be casting both the games. So, guys, say hello to the chat.
Hello, chat. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Quentin. Hi, Boo.
Hello.
So, how are you guys feeling? Excited about today's games?
Yeah, very excited. Since both the team is very, tough tonight. It's gonna be a tough game.
Absolutely. We're in the round of... What round is this again?
This is
16, isn't it?
round of 16, yes. And day 2 of round of 16.
Get it all the final stages. All the good teams remaining. It should be exciting.
Now the filter has finally struck. Now all the teams will start reaching their peak performance levels as we slowly close off the round of 16.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, we just had a massive patch, didn't we? I wonder how the players and the teams are going to adapt to the massive patch. A lot of heroes that had been forgotten have come out to the meta. The jungle meta has completely shifted. The EXP, the gold. I mean, it should be very interesting to see how these amazing teams actually coordinate with this new meta.
And that is true, Z. With the massive patch that has come through, shifting everything, the first team to actually adapt to this meta will be the superior one, and that, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, we are in the Group C matches of the playoff best of threes. The first match of tonight will be between Final Boss and Rebellion. Again, this is going to be a best of three, so the winner of two matches will move on to the semifinals. And once we reach there, the competition is going to get even tougher.
Absolutely. I think. So we have the Final Boss, Bloodline Rules, against Rebellion. And those names actually have a relation. Do you watch wrestling by any chance?
Yeah, we do.
Which one?
Yep. Both of these names really have that link with the Bloodline saga going on right now, don't it? The Final Boss, obviously, referring to The Rock, whereas Rebellion referring to what The Rock's faction is doing right now in the Bloodline.
My goodness me, the connections. Z with the connections, he finds out the lore behind everything. So this is the Vortex of Legends Season 2. So I guess he's pulled out his storybooks, his pens, started writing art right here. As we do get prepared, both teams are locked in. So without, I guess, any further ado, let's just jump right into it.
Yep, and this should be fun. Who do you think is going to be the prio in this thing? I see a lot of Sicilian priority in this competition, in this tournament, which is very interesting to me because we don't really see that a lot in other regions right now.
It is something that's very interesting. Even in your ranked games, you might be seeing a lot more Sicilian now. But I guess it's due to the fact that people have adjusted to the more aggressive play style and have understood their limits, And with Sicilian being such a scaling hero, he does give you that time to just limit test and just see whether or not what actually takes him down, what he can do. And that gives him that priority throughout this entire tournament, I believe.
I believe you're right. And there's also the fact that he does have a lot of utility even before his damage comes online. Those sanguine claws, the bat impact that can come through, just spamming it and just dealing up the damage with it is very strong as we see the first bans coming through for both the teams, the Final Boss as well as Rebellion. with a ban on Orpheus and Suyu. So very much in line with what we expected pre-patch, isn't it?
See value in me?
Exactly. And here's an interesting ban that Final Boss have found out. It is a brethren.
Yeah, I think it's like to prevent the EXP brethren. I've been seeing an EXP brethren possibility quite a bit recently. However, I mean, EXP lane has completely changed in dynamic due to the recent patch. The airborne nerf has made a lot of these heroes kind of strong, and there is the Sicilian ban that we were talking about just before. So the Sicilian, we're not going to be able to see it, unfortunately, in this game, but it has been taken out by Rebellion.
And for the better at that, and yeah, earlier you were talking about the Brethren going to the EXP lane, but the actual question does remain. He has been increased, he has been buffed up a little bit, he's a little bit more tankier than before and able to sustain more, but
absolutely,
he runs on his passive. And in the EXP lane, without many creeps to actually hit around and get his passive stacks, that could actually limit his options in team fights, as we have a Zushin getting banned out pretty
run deep.
Normal.
Standard bans. The Zushin is fairly standard, no? Is it kind of weird in this tournament? Is it something that we haven't seen? I mean, we are getting to the round of 16, so I'm sure these teams are taking it very seriously now. The Zushin is something that needs to be banned, in my opinion. And then there's the Ling ban to actually finish it off from Rebellion. So we're going towards the first ban, but you were saying about the Zushin ban.
Well, the Zushin, we've seen the Zushin being played a few times here and there, but most players just fear her crowd control even after there are a few nerfs here and there. She just does so much PC, which is just a frontline stopper, and that's how our teams like to play, very aggressive frontline heroes. Like the Hilda, which has been locked in right now. Any words on the new Hilda that's come out?
I mean, yeah, banning the Fredrin kind of makes sense now if they wanted to prioritize the Hilda, right? Because everything that the Hilda wants to do, the Fredrin just blocks. And if the final boss actually wanted to pick that Hilda in the first pick, I mean, banning the Fredrin does make sense, especially considering the response that we saw from Rebellion, which is Aurora as well as the Alpha, both heroes who do relatively decent against the Hilda, because Alpha has that 2 damage, as well as Aurora with her passive, as well as all of those freezes that she can just throw at the Hilda.
A very good back and forth between the two teams. Now, it's going to be interesting what Final Boss have in store, especially when it comes to these last 2 picks of the first phase, and we have already getting locked in pretty early on.
That's so interesting. The Brody, that's another hero that has been out of the limelight for so long, but now with the new patch and with a change in some items, such as the Malefic gun, I mean, Brody has been seeing a rise in popularity. And we do see it finished off from the final boss with the Valentina pick, who is as strong as she always was, especially with a good ultimate with Frigid Glacier to steal from the other side.
Indeed, the Valentina is going to be a standard pick to counter most of the mages in the game right now. Not necessarily counter, but at least stand up to them. As we see Rebellion hovering that Edith, whether or not they lock it in is still yet to be asked. But again, they want to risk giving the Primal Wrath to the Valentina.
And Edith does care for Edith is interesting because I would assume that the airborne nerf in the recent patch affected Edith the most out of all of the heroes.
Rises when I
her
give the
entire
word.
kit relies on airborne, right? That flip that she does, the skill 1 knockup that she does in her actual shielded form, both of them are airborne, and both of their CDs have been reduced in the recent patch. So it will be interesting to see how Edith actually compares, as we see the Khalid getting banned by Rebellion.
Yeah, and one thing that Rebellion have done right here is that they've given that flex opportunity with that Edith pick. She has been slightly nerfed, especially as you were saying, because of those knockups and all those stun durations really getting the better half of her, but she's still a pretty viable hero. She can actually provide the amount of crowd control. Especially another fact that really helps her out is that she does quite a bit of damage in that marksman form when she uses the Primal Wrath. And that's why she's still relatively viable, especially when it comes to the meta shifts here and there. She does well.
I mean, it's a very safe pick. If nothing else, it's a very safe pick. She gives you everything, right? She gives you that tankiness, she gives you that pick-off potential, she gives you that CC as well as the damage. I mean, if you wanted to pick a hero that gives you everything, Edith is probably your best pick. As we see the Bane getting back. What do you think about the Bane ban?
It is in despair that I
Well, the Bane is an interesting hero, especially now that things have been changed around a little bit here and there. Right now, before the patch came out, the Bane was being picked, especially up against heroes like the Alpha, to somewhat match the clearing speed. But now it might be a little bit more buffed, especially due to the changes in the items here and there. He has the potential to actually cause a threat to teams.
Absolutely. And then Tarn getting banned by Final Boss, as they have already picked their marksman. Looks like we're going to see a Irisol against the Brody, which I don't mind, actually. I think it's a very interesting pick. I can see what they're thinking, and I think it is something that can work, in fact.
Let's go.
Yeah, that is true. The Irisol against the Brody, she does well in certain situations. Some situations she might not be favored in, but overall, this first game could be a full trial and error time for just practicing it. Not necessarily practicing, but just feeling out the meta, what the updates bring and give, what heroes do well where. And with that, we have the Fanny and the Carmilla getting locked in immediately for the side of Final Boss.
Yeah, and those are two very strong picks that actually round out their composition so well. The Carmilla with her ultimate, as well as the Fanny with those sustained damages, despite getting nerfed recently, or rather, despite getting adjusted into her ultimate, the Carmilla Fanny, I think, is still very strong. So I can see what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, that's true. The Fanny, the balance that the Fanny did pull off was interesting. The changes that were made to her makes her sustain a little bit longer with the energy increase, but they have reduced damage on the ultimate, basically. So it's going to be interesting how this Fanny plays around, especially since Rebellion have locked in that Kufra.
Yeah, the Kufra as well as the Aurora, just to lock down the Fanny, as well as the Edith, because with her onward as well as the Shatter, she can actually stop the Fanny right in her tracks. So it's not a bad thing against the composition that the Final Boss have drafted. Whose draft do you prefer more?
Well, looking at it overall, I do like the straightforward front-to-back composition that Final Boss have put out, but then the heavy aggressive comp that's coming in from Rebellion might be enough to actually deter them off their feet.
Exactly. It looks like the Final Boss came to this game with a game plan, with a strategy in mind. However, Rebellion have managed to actually match them blow for blow in the drafting stage at least. Let's see if it goes the same way in game as we start the first game, the round of 16, day 2 for VORTEX Legends Season 2.
Again, remember guys to like the stream, subscribe to the channel, and do follow us on our Instagram page at Yama Esports so that you stay updated with the future events of the tournament and future tournaments as well. Again, at 450 subscribers, which we're almost nearly at, there will be a giveaway for the viewers. So do remember to tell your friends to subscribe so that you can win prizes in the long run. Now, coming back to the game, it seems like everything seems pretty peaceful so far.
Yeah, but interestingly, both junglers are kind of clearing to go towards the gold lane, which is going to be very interesting because I would actually favor the Brody. I would prefer playing strong side Brody like looking at this composition. However, if something goes wrong and the Iris will start getting some kills in the early game, it's a very big risk. So this should be interesting to see how these teams actually do this. As there's an invade going in. Ooh, the spear of all misses, and he does get taken down.
Here we go. We have Final Boss putting up a good show over here. Yep, indeed.
Exactly.
2 kills already on the board.
And that is the power of the Brody, right? Fighting in the enemy half of the map with a Brody in the opponent, in the opposing side is a little bit difficult because you do get hit quite a bit. As we see another pick-off over at the top lane. Fanny, this Sivos on the Fanny is actually pulling up. Even though he was late for his level 4, he's actually managed to do really well, picking up 2 early kills and just getting his snowball rolling as they managed to get another kill onto the group round. Blank 2.0, not having a good game.
And that's the thing about having a Fanny, you know. She just wants to get her objectives. She's got that early game potential, which really puts her up against these heroes, especially something like the Alpha. Now, in the top side, the Idiot does get jumped by 2 members, but she should be alright, able to just dash away from that. Another important thing we need to look at is the laning coming in from the gold laners. It seems like the Brody is doing well to just keep the Aerothel at bay, but with the pace that Rebellion are going at, I don't think that should be a problem, as we already see the rest of the members from the side of Rebellion jumping in.
Yep, and you have to kind of give the late game over to Rebellion, because while the final boss has actually managed to do very well in the early game, that's what their composition is built for. As we see a fight brewing in the mid lane, they managed to get that passive off from Aurora, and she does fall down. So does Blanks 2.0. That is the 3rd death in as many minutes of the game. As we see the skirmish still going on.
Yeah, the fight does go out. The Curse of Blood connecting onto 2, but the Edith is able to earth shatter and scare the rest of the members on the side of Final Boss. But overall, sitting 6-0 and 3 minutes in, Final Boss, they feel pretty good with themselves right now. Seems like we might have another engage over there. The bouncing ball does come out, but the Penny not really able to get the kill with the foot, is forced to just retreat from there. Good positioning by Blanks this time around.
That would have been disastrous if he actually got taken down. That would have been 4 deaths in 4 minutes. You don't really want that, as we do see the overrated on Aurora falling down. Her passive was not up, so she does fall down.
On the other side of the map, while that was happening, Jam did fall, but now we can already see that taking a chunk of his HP down before this turtle second neutral objective.
However, the kill was secured by messing around, so it is something in the favor of Rebellion. If you actually want to mount a comeback, especially in the early to mid stage, they do need this Alpha to be online. And we can see that the Alpha is actually a level ahead of the Fanny, despite the Fanny being...
Yeah, we are having an engage in the bot side. We do see that the Curse of Blood connects on the 4, and now the Fanny is here just to clean up, getting a beautiful double kill. And a triple.
Wow, that was an amazing engage by Darwin on this Carmilla. I mean, we saw 2 different Trojan players, and they actually managed to get the final kill that they didn't get before onto Kid. So that is then an official wipeout 5 minutes into the game.
Goodness me, the damage potential coming in from the side of Final Boss is starting to rack up. Just that Curse of Blood into the Tawnypot memory into the Fanny, that was scary. We have another skirmish in the top side. The Alpha in a very bad position just gets knocked away by the power of the Carmilla and Valentina.
And what is the damage coming in from Valentina? She managed to take out like 15%, 20% of messing around HP with just one skill 1.
Indeed, that's what's happening over here. Just look at the damage of the Brody as Primal Wrath into the Curse of Blood. Here comes up the Frigid Glacier as well now. Valentina does not have Aurora's passive, so she needs to be a little bit more careful as the rest of Final Boss they decide to retreat after beating out quite a few spells on the side of a Rebellion.
Yep, and also it's a 6 minute, 6,000 gold beat, 6 minutes into the game. So this is crazy because, and there's another engage. However, this time Rose does not manage to actually get that kill onto the Irithel and escapes with his life. Just barely.
Barely indeed. Good skill coming in from the Fanny. It's actually very interesting and fun to see Fanny being played, especially in these tournaments. But coming back, Zhu Shang at the top side almost gets caught off, but a good flicker out saves him.
Exactly. He's not holding on to that flicker. It's not at the cost of his life. And that is the way that you're supposed to play a marksman, right? They do have that very quick rotation capability, and it does look like the Final Boss are looking to actually collapse onto this.
Yeah, we are having
does fall down. However, there is a killback. And this was a messy fight, I'm sorry, but yeah, I think we were looking at two different fights at that time. There was a fight going on around the top lane turret that has now fallen down over in the blue side, as well as another fight over at the top lane turret for the red side area. So that was interesting.
A very good skirmish. The side of Final Boss, they were able to get to separate the members of Rebellion, and it seemed like Rebellion struggled with a little bit of communication over there, just forcing, didn't know where to place their members. And
exactly.
Final Boss, they were pretty precise on the kills that they wanted to take down first.
Yep, and we do see Rebellion actually grouping up as 5 now, being very careful not to overextend and not to split up like they did last time. Whereas their rotation is being mirrored by Rebellion with a 3-man group up down at the bottom side, helping this Brody, helping Zhu Zhang get those turrets and just continue to fight along with the team.
Yeah, now it's going to be interesting to see how Rebellion responds to this. Their heroes are yet to be farmed up enough to actually start outputting the damage and compare it with the side of Final Boss. But now the Fanny, it's pretty low, is able to get out safely.
Yeah.
But we might see something over here.
Yeah, the rest of the team are positioning around the Lord, so we might see I don't think it would be a good idea for Rebellion to actually contest the Lord. And look at that damage by Darwin onto messing around, as well as one hit by Zhu Zhang. This is insane.
That was good damage just from a Carmilla. Yeah. That's interesting.
That was insane. I guess that's what 6,000 gold is brings you, right?
Indeed. Now, the Lord does get chunked pretty easily. And you can just see the level of lead that Final Boss have actually taken up. Look at the intense, almost 8k goal lead at 9 minutes in. This is going to be pretty disastrous if Rebellion play it a little bit more recklessly.
Yeah, one single inhibitor with this first Lord is going to decide the game, because remember, we do have that Brody, and looking at how the game is going, Rebellion still have to wait for that 15-minute mark before they can actually contest and fight against this composition drafted by the Final Boss. So it will be interesting to see if Rebellion managed to hold on. There is a skirmish going on.
The Frigid Glacier was already used up, so that's already one important resource extended before this first 10-minute Lord crashes in. But I think for the side of Final Boss right now, their only views are in these objectives. They will sort of respect the crowd control potential coming in from Rebellion and not really push their luck, just cleanly execute their plans.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with the Holy defense still being up, and not anymore, of course. All 3 of them have been popped with that mode. So this is enough as far as the final boss should be concerned. I mean, this is a very good win for them. All they have to do is wait another 90 seconds, push in with the Enhanced Lord, and see what they can do, especially with a Brody in their composition. However, do remember that both the Fanny and the Hilda do very, very... they're not very comfortable, let's say, with a siege, right? They do very well in the laning, they do very well outside of the enemy base, but if the fight goes into the enemy base, both of these heroes kind of struggle.
Indeed. So technically, the siege power does lie in the hands of the Valentina, but if Rebellion does something like this, going back in, is caught in between members, that's just an instant wipeout. A double kill, a triple kill secured by the Fanny.
Unique with the play of his life. He actually answered the Frigid Glacier from Overrated, the Engage from Rebellion, the 5-man Frigid Glacier of his own. And that is exactly why the Valentina is so cryo and so strong against this kind of opposition, as we see the final boss actually taking game 1. You know, very, very triumphant manner.
A very dominating performance at that, and quite literally, that was a beautiful play coming in, which we hardly had time to process it. And goodness me, in a matter of seconds.
We saw Blanks 2.0 go in. We saw Kid actually follow up with the Earth Shatter.